Lead poisoning. If you don't know what that is, uh, I'd say I don't blame you, but you were likely a little baby in the 50s who was chewing on a lead painted windowsill, and now you're little. Anyways, if you don't know what lead is, it's a heavy metal, one of the most dense metals, actually, and it is a toxin to humans. It seeps into our blood and causes a whole remedy of negative side effects that I'm not going to be getting into. I, myself, have had many close encounters with lead. Um, Much to my chagrin, it was not by choice. In fact, other times it was completely unknown to me, and other powers that be hid that information from me, much to my health detriment. Possibly. The thing is, I've had so many close encounters with lead, yet I'm too terrified to go to the doctor and actually get blood testing to see if it's an issue or not. Why? It's not because I'm distrustful of doctors, it's because, I don't know, I haven't had any negative side effects, so why go? You don't know me, you should know two things. I love Goodwill. I love thrifting in general. And also, I love a good cup of tea. So, I was going to Goodwill, and I happened to find what looked like the perfect little teapot for me. I needed something new to steep my tea in because my last one was glass and it broke, and I thought I found the perfect solution. A little metal teapot. It was a little rusty and a little tarnished, sure, but I had a couple sanding bits at home I could use to take that tarnish right off. So that's what I did. Let's get into the actual meat of the video, which is me actually sanding. So you can see the teapot right here, and I am wearing my respirator. Whenever you are working with something you don't know, wear a respirator. It will likely save you if something goes wrong or you learn that what you're working with isn't what you thought. Just wear a respirator, just in case. But I am assembling this sanding bit. This is the 80 grit, I believe. And this kit goes from 80 all the way up to 1000 grit. And I think I only went up to 600 for this. I'm just sanding away, working on it. And this whole clip is at 300% speed. That's how long it takes. But at one point, I figured out that I could double stack the sanding bits, and it made it a lot more rigid and made the sanding process a lot faster. So you'll see me go a lot quicker at one point, but for now, I'm just using a single wheel of the 80 grit, and it takes fucking forever. And now I'll give you an example of one of the other times I was exposed to lead. So I'm going to talk about this very carefully because they did make me sign an NDA, but to put it shortly, not that long ago, it was only like less than a year ago, I worked at a shipyard, which I will not name for obvious reasons. But on that shipyard, it was my job to be a laborer and help with the routine maintenance on a large cruise ship. And I had to sign an NDA, and I'm not supposed to be talking about my experience there because, in addition to cruise ships, this place also operates on US naval ships. So they really are tight-lipped. They don't want anyone knowing about what's happening there. But I figure I should be fine to talk about it because they tried to allow me to work on it, and I was just a contractor at the time, so legally they wouldn't let me on the naval ship. So there's no trade secrets or US military information I have. So there's really no reason that I should be bound to this NDA. And honestly, fuck it. If they can deduce who I am and what I'm talking about, then they can serve me papers and I'll go to court. I don't fucking care. I worked there for about 2 weeks. That was how long my contract was. It was crazy there. I mean, day fucking one, as I'm touring the facility, they're talking about safety and how to keep your head on a swivel, and then hook, line, and fucking sinker, I turn to my left and I see a forklift barreling down a ramp at full speed, and apparently the brakes failed, but the person driving it had no idea before he got in that the brakes weren't working. And he went down a ramp. It sped up to like 15 miles an hour. He was no longer in control of the vehicle. And long story short, he almost shish kebabbed a guy. And that was my first fucking day. I almost watched a dude get killed by a forklift. So that's like the type of... I wouldn't say... No, I would say. Just gross negligence that was going on at that facility. But I keep working. I'm putting my head down, putting in the hours, because I was making good money doing that. The first 3 days, the only safety equipment I was given were gloves, glasses, and a safety vest. In most of my time working at the shipyard, I was down in the belly of the ship, basically in the hull, and I would be there, moving equipment, sweeping. Alright, so here is a quick clip I'm going to throw in here to show you kind of like some of the things I was doing. In this clip, I was in a little tiny hole. I mean, the area I had to move around in was maybe 2.5 feet tall by like 3 feet wide. So it was a really small area. And that little window there was my way out. So I had to crawl over that pipe. And keep in mind, this pipe was boiling hot. And that was my only way out. I had to crawl over that. So this is like the type of conditions I was subjected to when I was working there. But I chose this, to be fair. And there were a lot of welders around me just welding, like fixing rust holes and shit in the hull of the ship. And meanwhile, I was just kind of working around them and sweeping up the dust on the ground, picking up heavy hoses and moving them from point A to point B. Boring, back-breaking work. I'm not going to bore you with all the details. But it was very dusty and smoky in there, and what I assumed was because they were welding and it was a very old and dusty cruise ship, I didn't pay it much mind. But every single morning we would have these like safety briefings being like, hey, such and such, you're going to be working down in the engine bay clearing garbage, or you're going to be moving hoses from the deck down to the dock. Shit like that. And then day 3, it's a very different tone. It's like 2 in the afternoon, and we're all just kind of sitting there. Excuse me. Our supervisor was late, so we were just kind of sitting there wondering what the fuck was going on. And then he walks in with a bunch of papers in his hand. They were all contracts saying that we rid the company of any responsibility, which, looking back, it was completely optional to sign, and I just kind of signed it without thinking. I shouldn't have fucking signed it. But I signed it, and it rid them of all responsibility of what I'm about to tell you. And then we all signed it, or everyone that was willing signed it, and we passed them back. And they looked at us in our eyes, and they told us that that dust we had been seeing on the ship for the past 3 days that I was working there, and keep in mind, I would come home covered in this dust. It was like a black dust all over my body. It looked like I was doing blackface. It was not good. But it turned out that dust that we were working in was lead dust. And not just that, it was also asbestos and, I believe, chromium. All 3, very bad. All 3 are very toxic to you. Asbestos is a unholy carcinogen. Lead is a heavy metal that will just destroy every single organ in your body if you let it. And they just were just kind of like, yeah, you probably have lead poisoning now. Hope you enjoy. And it was really fucking casual like that. And the worst part is, you wanna know what they did in exchange for telling me that they basically exposed me to 3 highly dangerous toxins? Well, at first they didn't want to fucking do anything, if you believe that. I know, shocker. Company in America doesn't want to do anything to help the employees it's wronged. Not only that, after being like, we need some sort of safety equipment, man. Like, I get that we're just contractors and we're here for a couple weeks, but like, you need to put some effort into our safety. They were like, oh, I guess I can give you a respirator. So now I have a free respirator, which was kind of off-putting. And then I didn't really think much of it, and I kept going on, I guess. And you'd think that I would go to the doctor and get my blood tested, or just check for heavy metal toxins and shit like that after hearing I was exposed to what is almost certainly some of the most toxic materials that I could have been exposed to. You'd think I would, but nah. I haven't felt funny. I mean, I see shadow people when I turn around, but that's just me being quirky, you know? And now we are reaching the end of me actually polishing this teapot. You can see I am using a little metal polish, and I've daubed it in different places, and I'm just slowly going over it with a polishing bit while I work it in. And I'm just spreading it evenly across the surface. And you can see I'm absolutely covered. If you look at my face, I'm just covered in dust. There's like black soot on my face from sanding down the outside of the tea kettle, which got all over my clothes, all over my body, and it low-key itched, which wasn't a good sign. But I got the teapot polished, and then it was finished. And you'd think that this is the end of the story, but actually, believe it or not, somehow, it is not. I finished polishing this teapot finally. Just so you know, all of that footage I condensed down into those, what, like 8 minutes? That took me 4 hours. It was an entire day for me. I just got home from work, and then I literally just polished that tea kettle all day. In fact, it took 2 days to do. I finish it, I make a nice cup of tea. I feel so proud of myself, you know? I did something. I put this shit off for months, but I fucking did it. And then, a couple weeks go by. I don't think about it. I keep using the teapot, obviously. I fucking love tea. And then, one day I get home, and my stepdad, he walks up to me, and he's like, hey, got you something. I'm like, what? And he says, oh, nothing, just some lead test strips. I was like, why do I need those? And then he pointed to my teapot. I was like, no fucking way it's lead. It doesn't look like lead. It polished like cast iron. Why would it be? And he was like, oh, well, let's try it anyways, you know? And I was, you know, a little pissed. I was like, whatever, let's fucking do it. Get it over with. And you wouldn't believe it. It's fucking lead. So, once again, I have exposed myself to lead. This time willingly. The US Navy had nothing to do with it. Or bad bosses. But, yeah, I've exposed myself to lead way too much in my life. I should probably go to the doctor. Whatever. If you made it this far in the video, sound off in the comments. Let me know if you've had any experience with heavy metals, or preferably lead. If you've had your own lead story, sound off, let me know. Anyways, without further ado, if your name is John, this one's for you. This is the tank I'm working in. It might not look like much, but every single one of those windows and that bottom floor right there, which is where I'm working, goes into a series of other tanks. It just goes on and on and on. My job is to get in here and sweep. But I have to go into every one of these little fucking windows and sweep and take out all the trash and the equipment, like that light cord right there. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Or did, because I don't have fucking service down here. So if you're getting this, this is after I finished it.